I'm a little bit afraid of drive impact right now.
You should be.
I've talked about it before, but to me, the mechanic for this game is the entire drive rush system. Drive impact is relatively cheap. It has a defensive component to it. It has an offensive component to it. When you get burned out, it becomes even more powerful. I should say when your opponent is burned out. There is a ton of obvious incentive for people to press this button with the side of their face over and over again. And I'm all but sure that especially at the low levels, because that's so conspicuous and obvious, you're going to see it all day. And the answers to it, to me as like a tournament player, it's like, okay, you can parry, you can drive impact back yourself, and as you noted, you can jump if your timing is right, and so that will be counterable. But what I worry about is that this will be so obviously a strong component and a cheap relative to most of the rest of the drive system part of it, that this will become the majority of the game early on, and maybe people won't be incentivized to explore other parts of it. What do you think about all that?
I think you're correct if it stayed as is, but I think what the developers wanted is that they want people to have that flashy fun stuff unlocked right from the get-go and have it be easy to do. The tons of paint just fly all over the place the moment you start hitting those drive impacts. And it looks, yeah, it looks fun, and it is fun. It really is. And one of the things you didn't mention is it's fully safe on block, but not only is it safe on block, it pushes the opponent back a good distance as well. It pushes you back as well, but like it's pure privilege and advantage written all over it right now. And I think that's by design. They're kind of like, and I would not be shocked if it's already, 2 bars of drive gauge now. It has a single hit of armor, all this kind of stuff has been tweaked about it. It's really designed as like a high attention getting move that anyone can do. You can even cancel into it. So if you're playing Ryu, you can crouching medium kick and then go right into your drive impact. That does not combo because there's quite a bit of startup on it, but it's super easy to do. And because of that, I can't see them not tweaking it yet. It reeks of one of those showcase type moves where they just want people to have fun with the game, and it's like the balance will come later, and that's fine. That's how these games often work.
Maybe scale all the subsequent damage afterwards or something along those lines. But yeah, the way it exists now, I'm like, well, that's the game right there. You got to think that they're going to do something with it either before the game drops or shortly thereafter, but we will see. So if it's not necessarily drive impact, are there any components of the drive system that sort of emerge like in an unspoken rule that this is the most efficient thing? You save your drive meter for this while you don't really use it on this component as much. And yes, I know it's early. That goes before everything that I say here, but do you have any early thoughts about that?
Yeah, Drive Rush actually is what you want to open the rounds with, because most Street Fighter players are going to open the round with trying to whiff punish and play footsies, right? That's how you typically build up your stuff before you have resources. And Street Fighter 6 is a little bit of an interesting turn on that because you have resources right from the get-go. And so Drive Rush does take 3 bars. I think Capcom has correctly read that situation and been like, hey, this is really good in the hands of a pro. So just for example, let's say you're Ryu and you do stick out that crouching medium kick, as your opening move, and it whiffs. And you've got Chun-Li back there, and she does her crouching medium kick, and then she does her drive rush. So she punishes your crouching medium kick on whiff with hers, and then she drive rushes in there. She can continue the combo, probably get about 20 to 30 to 40% of your life, and then potentially set you up for an Oki situation afterwards. And now that's taking half of your drive gauge right there to do the drive rush, right? That's 3 bars. And so she might have done that 20 and 30% damage, and now she's got a good Oki situation, but she's also drained half of her resources that she, she needs. And she'll probably build a little bit of that back up with the combo or whatever. I don't know the exact, meter properties of it. When you're getting hit, it's hard to pay attention to that as well. But that right now feels like the strongest tactic in the game. It's something that Justin Wong came up and told Punk as we're playing, and it did reverse some of the momentum of the matchup. I was doing a little better before Justin started coaching him and stuff, but he was coaching me too. I could hear it as well. So Punk was practicing that, and he got quite good with it quite quickly. And it's very potent, and that is actually something I don't see changing very heavily, because 3 bars, it may not sound like a big expense, but when you've got 6 of them, you you will get burned out very fast if you're not careful. So it's a really good opening tactic, but you're probably only going to want to do that once. And then after, and if you mess it up, like you're losing the 3 bars either way. So that is the most powerful tactic for kind of the top end tournament players who specialize in footsies and with punishing, all that kind of stuff right from the get go. And you're going to want to be proficient with that from day one if if your expectations are higher end.
I was talking to Majin Tenshinhan, and he and I share another kind of fear, or maybe a trepidation about this. But when I think about this 5-facet drive system, some of those are offensive, some of them are defensive. And to me, it's like, well, they're all tied to this same bar. So I need to make, at some level, you're making the decision to play offensively or defensively in terms of your meter. Now, we always hear about, this player is way more defensive, this player is more offensive. So some of that will lend itself to a player's personality and the character that they're using. But I'm worried that at some point I'm either using my meter in one way or another and therefore not the other. And it's almost like I don't have an entire game to play anymore. I have to choose offense or defense.
Actually, that's by design. Speaking with the developers, they have said that they want people. They're giving you the multi-tool, right? You've got the Swiss Army knife, and if you choose to use scissors, or if you choose to use the file or whatever and stuff to get the job done, that's up to you. What they want to do is they want to design each of those tools so that they're effective in the context that you want to put them in. And if you want to put yourself in that box, if you want to be like, well, I can only use drive gauge for offense, you can. And if you only want to use it for defense, you can. Like if you only want to do alpha counters all day long, like that could be a style, especially if you're a defensive player. So this really depends heavily on your personal style of play. But in terms of locking someone into what is the best, I'll go back to people. We all go to the same character select screen. We can all pick Luke in Street Fighter V if we want to, but we choose not to. We choose not to because we're not jerks. Not all of us. Not to say all people that play Luke are jerks, but that's probably the case. It probably is actually. Anyway, so you're not locked into how you want to play, and I get that concern. It's a valid one, especially how we've seen these games shake out, because there's an efficient way to play these games, and just give me the cheap stuff. Just do this. But the history of Street Fighter does show that people who branch out and play other characters and do other different styles. I mean, again, CN won Evo again. There's all these Snake Eyes won Super Turbo with Zangief, right? Like our HD remix, but some people like to quibble about that. But you can always break the mold and play in a whole different way and win. But there's going to be a cheap strategy that emerges right from the get-go, and right now that's definitely going to be based on drive impact. You're going to see drive impact all the time if it stays how it currently is for the most part, because I do think it's going to be tweaked, but yeah, that's kind of the cheapness right now.
Drive rush cancel looks fast, and so you can drive rush cancel out of a normal, and that costs 3 bars. That's expensive. But you can also drive rush cancel out of parry, and that only costs 1 bar plus however much you used to sit in that parry, right? So maybe just like 1 and a little bit of a bar. I'm starting to see people use that to suddenly dash forward.
Yeah.
Now, to me, that looks like, okay, well, is it something that you'll be able to, it's going to catch people right now, one, because when you flash blue like that, the opponent's brain goes, well, I'm in the don't attack them mode because they're countering my attack, and then by the time maybe you realize they're forward dashing, you're too late, and they're either throwing you or interrupting your attack, something like that. Is this a legit tactic to get close or to use while you're pressuring someone, or is it just something that's working because it's early and people haven't learned to see it yet?
Before I played Street Fighter V, as much as I have, I would have said that tactic's not legit at all. React to it and just punish it and stuff. But you and I have both played a lot of Street Fighter V, and trying to discount the ability to just dash into someone's face and blow them up. Dashes feel a lot like Street Fighter V, just so you know, like in terms of frame data, range, all that kind of stuff. And so the answer to that question would be entirely legitimate. The one time you are not ready for it, someone's up in your face and they're pounding away at their buttons.
Cool.